A few months ago, I started on my journey of starting a web design business. I dedicated 30 days purely to learning web design. One of the biggest wins of those 30 days was acquiring my actual first client. Here's how far I've come. Hey, what's up? Basically, right after the last video, I had the sales call with the first client. The sales call went well. I was very nervous, but overall it went well. I sent him an official proposal right after the sales call, which he then also accepted. Communication with this client is not the easiest. He's very busy, so he doesn't really answer very quickly, which also led to a delayed strategy call, which was a bit over a month after the first sales call. In that strategy call, we discussed what exactly would be implemented in terms of design in the final website. After the strategy call, I was finally able to start work on his new website. I mean, look, this is all my first time, right? My first sales call, my first strategy call. So I'm definitely learning as I'm going, but so far the client just has been super nice, like a good first client. I'm basically done with the design. He's requested some changes which I don't really agree on, like in terms of design, but he's the client, so I'm just gonna implement what he says, and then we should be meeting for the actual handover of the final website pretty soon. I'm sorry that this video has taken so long. It's really been a while, but I'm super pumped and excited to get this whole web design side hustle to a next level in 2025. Over the last few days, I've been working on a new version of my landing page because I feel like I've sort of outgrown the old one. The functionality is still the same as my old websites, it's just a bit more minimalistic, to the point, but also more interactive. One of the things I'm also integrating into the new site is my current pricing on display transparently. This pricing will obviously adapt as I progress, but for now I feel like it's pretty fair. Also, with this whole process of redesigning my own websites, I've been experimenting with adding a sprinkle of AI to my workflow. I tried out a completely new to me AI tool called V0. V0 on the surface looks like any AI chatbot you know, but it's specifically for generating UI code. I also experimented with a specific version of GPT called Framer GPT, which basically has the context of developing components for Framer. Both of those tools work pretty well. I think I prefer V0 because you get a direct preview of your code, but really it's just cool knowing that these tools exist to support my usual workflow, and I might rely on them for very specific small interactive elements. I ended up not using AI too much in the final version of the website because my needs were pretty basic. That's my new website. If you wanted to check it out, I've linked it in the description down below. I've got paid. I received the 300 euros for my first web design project. To recap, I finished up the design for the client project. There wasn't much to do, just a few last revisions that the client had. I told the client I was done and we set up a meeting for the official handover. I still had a lot of stuff to do to prepare for the handover. For one, I signed up for the Framer Partner Program, which is basically a Framer affiliate program. Also, I set up Stripe as a payment platform. I'm going to be using Stripe as my primary payment provider because I've seen it everywhere, and Stripe invoicing is very useful for bundling invoices, also for tax reasons. The handover meeting itself was actually very fun and pretty low-key. I generated the Framer remix link to the project I was working on. Together with the client, we made him a Framer account. Then it was just a matter of copying over the project I had been working on to his new account. He immediately subscribed to a paid plan for that project, which allowed me to connect a custom domain. So the actual domain connection was pretty straightforward. Everything worked out well on the first try, which was pretty awesome. The client was happy he could see the new website on his existing domain, and I was happy as well. Just after the handover, I recorded a tutorial on his new website in the Framer UI. This is meant as a resource if he ever wants to make small changes in the future. I also sent him the invoice via Stripe, which he paid a few days later. The money actually reached my bank account roughly a week after the handover meeting. I remember sitting at work receiving the email from Stripe, "You just got paid." It's definitely a wild feeling to get money for this for the first time. Roughly 2 weeks after the official handover, I sent the client a request for feedback via email, which he hasn't responded to yet. I will follow up on that though. So yeah, the first client project is done. The website is live, the client is happy, I'm happy. I would say a big success. In terms of acquiring new clients, I do think at this specific stage of the business, I just have to put in the work, and part of the work is cold calling. Of course, I also want to look into some different strategies in terms of acquiring new clients. One of those is diving back deep into Contra. Getting my first client onto Contra and actually completing a project through Contra, I think would greatly improve the look of my profile in Contra, creating some natural organic momentum and getting jobs via Contra as well. A while back, I had a really cool call with a friend of mine, Niklas. He used to work in sales. He gave me some really valuable insights into the whole sales side of this project. I truly do believe that the technical aspect of what I'm doing, like the web design, is much less important than the actual business part. The emphasis truly is on how do you sell your product, how do you sell yourself, how do you get clients, whereas the actual service you're providing really isn't that important as long as people need the service and convincing them that you're the perfect person to provide that service. I think the skills that I learn in terms of the business side of things are really those skills that are truly valuable. Anything and everything I learn in terms of business and sales and marketing, I think I can for sure use as experience going forward in the future if I decide to start something else, which isn't really related to web design per se. Framer, the main tool I use for building websites, has been involved in a bit of a controversy over the last few months. Basically, they updated their pricing model, which they have done a lot in the past. Specifically this time around though, people are complaining about the updated pricing and localization. So if you want to add more than one language to your website, more than one locale, Framer now charges per locale a pretty large amount of money. People think this is unfair and doesn't really reflect what the industry at large is doing. While this specific change doesn't directly affect me, it's definitely surfaced some concerns for me. With all of these all-in-one low-code website builders, you're sort of at the mercy of the companies that operate them. If all your stuff, your website is hosted with them, and you're paying annually for their services, if they suddenly decide to do something drastic with their service, then you just have to take it. There's very little agency you have in this whole situation. The only real big change you can make is switching providers. It's not like I'm ditching Framer at this point. I truly still believe in Framer, and it's just such a joy to work with this tool. But at the same time, I do think I should keep my eyes open and plan for the future accordingly. So at the very least, I'm definitely going to look into diversifying my skills with other platforms as well. At the end of the day, as long as clients get their new website, it doesn't really matter what my workflow looks like. Here's 2 lessons I learned throughout these past few months. Clients usually inherently understand the recurring price tag of websites. Either they're paying already, or the 15-30 euros a month isn't really significant compared to other business expenses. I was worrying a lot about pitching Framer, which is a bit more on the expensive end, to potential clients, but really this isn't much of a factor. Another one. Going out and actually completing projects with real clients is so much more valuable than setting up the perfect productivity system in the back end. Before actually working with my first client, I spent so much time comparing tools, optimizing my workflow, and I didn't realize most things in terms of workflow would just naturally evolve as I made progress. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. If you've subscribed or commented over the last few weeks or based on this video, thank you so much as well. One last thing, I want to experiment in connecting with you, so I've decided to start an email list. My plan is to send out at maximum weekly updates. Topics will range from this whole YouTube process to just general things that I find exciting. If you're interested, you can join the club at the link right under this video. If you have any type of feedback at all, just leave a comment and I'd be super happy to hear it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.